welcome to Alien Agenda. Firstly, I'd like to thank the few people who have subscribed to the channel, and if you're new to the channel, it's just me talking about my experiences with aliens, abductions, the UFOs I've seen, numerous other things that I'll get into in time. So welcome to the channel. Hope you find something in it. It's a good release for me. So tonight I'd like to talk about an experience that happened in 2013, early 2013. I went to bed and went to sleep. Next thing I knew, I'm on a table in a room. Everything's a little bit blurry, so I just got to explain how I remember it and what happened. I'm on a table, and the room's sort of white in colour, although things are a bit blurry. I couldn't move. I could move my head, like my neck, my head, up and down a bit or side to side. And I wake up and I'm not even in my room, I'm on a table and I can't move. And it's a very weird feeling, confused and frightening, and a lot of feelings you get. It's pretty hard to nail one feeling. Anyway, at the end of my bed, but further away, or bed table, I could see some little grey aliens. I'd say there's 4 or 5 of them. I don't know if they're at another table. It's sort of blurry. I remember it as seeing it as a bit of a blur. Weren't that far off. And they were picking up things and moving things. They appeared to have their back towards me. They weren't really paying much attention to me. I was just lying on this table, not being able to move. I lifted my head up so I could see a bit, and that's the only bit of my body I could move. And then to the right side of me, really close to the table, is a big grey one. And they've got the big eyes and the big head. And when I saw him, I got this really bad feeling, this bad vibe, and I started to struggle on the table. And straight away, I'll call it a he. I don't know if it's a he or she, but the feeling I got that it was a he. Turned and looked right at me and gave me a message in my head to stop. Just stop moving, just lay there. I couldn't take my eyes off, even though on the corner of my eye I could see the little one still down the bottom of the room. And this one's right next to me, and it really frightened me. And I think they let me remember this bit for a reason, and I'll get to that. And he just was like staring right at me and telling me to stop moving. And my thoughts were sort of a bit abusive back. Like I told him to F off. Why am I here? Leave me alone. Like I got really nervous and scared at this point. He ignored me for a bit, but was still looking at me. There was no thought coming out of him. And I'm still trying to struggle on this table. At this point, I just wanted to get up and get out of there. Although I wouldn't have been able to get out. And to be honest with you, at this point, I'll tell you, I don't know if I was on a UFO, what type of room it was, where it was, but I was in a room on a table and I couldn't move. See, a lot of it's a bit blurry, and I don't think they let you remember every little detail and bit, because even when I think back about it, looking at the aliens further down the room, they looked a bit blurry to me. But this big one next to the table on my right hand side, I could see him really clear. I could see the glint in the black eyes. And I I kept moving and struggling, trying to just, I just wanted to get up. I don't know what I was going to do if I did get up at that point, but it was futile. I couldn't, there was no way I could move, just my head. And then, as the big one was looking at me again, he started with these thoughts and telling me to cut it out, just stop moving. These are the messages I was getting in my head. So, it's not really like a language where you hear a voice, it's just the thought they put in your head. And I didn't stop struggling. And I kept looking at him like, you asshole, let me go. Why have you done this? Although, at this point I realised I'd been abducted before. But I'd never really remembered, or been allowed to remember, the time they had me, like on the UFO or in the room or whatever that is. Oh, I can't be certain. I'd imagine it was a UFO. So this was the first time that I can remember ever seeing inside one and seeing the aliens in there. And the little ones were still not paying attention to me. I think they were at another table. They seemed to be picking things up and putting them down and moving things. And not even looking back up to my end of the room where this big one, I don't know if he seemed like some sort of overlord or boss, or he just had this really different vibe to all the other little ones. And almost struggling and trying to get up and trying to move. I was probably moving like a worm on this table. Really just little wiggles. And the only thing I could really do was lift my head. And I think he'd had enough at this point. This big one. And he comes right next to me, leans over and puts his big face on my face. His eyes were right in front of my eyes, and he's giving me the thoughts again of stop it, cut it out, stop trying to move it. And just, it's hard to explain, but that's the sort of message it was, but there was a more intent behind it as well. And I tried to scream, and I couldn't even make a noise. I was screaming in my stomach, like a guttural scream. And I sort of lifted my head and it hit him, like on his head. And the feeling I got, like I don't know if he really done it, but the feeling I got is I had hands on my throat, like pressure on my throat. And I was having trouble breathing, man, at this, it was, you could feel it clamping on my throat. And I started to really freak out. And I was just struggling and struggling. And I'm still trying to scream, and the scream's in my stomach. It won't come to my throat, it won't come out of my mouth. My head must have been red and, ready to explode. And then next thing, I'm back in my bed, and I'm still trying to scream. And it came out then, the scream actually came out. And I screamed in my room, and I could still smell this bastard. His face was that close to mine. For a second I tried to tell myself, that was just like some sort of bad nightmare dream. But I could still feel the pressure on my throat. I could almost smell this alien on my face. And the guttural scream came out, and I was shaking and panting, and you don't have nightmares like that. And I knew that I was awake, and I was on a table, and I couldn't move. And there were aliens down the other end of the room, and then somehow I pissed this big one off. I don't know if he did put his hands around my throat and strangle me, or he just used his brain to make me feel like that, to try and make me stop from the struggling and being abusive to him in my mind, which I was, because I was really frightened and I felt, just felt violated at that point. But I did at first, for a split second, try to tell myself that I just had a nightmare. A lot of the people listening, or 3 years, that subscribe might think, well, yeah, maybe you did have a nightmare, but it's different than any other dream or thing you've ever had. And when I was back on my bed and the scream came out, I was shaking. I knew that had just happened. And I think the big one especially, I think he let me remember that bit. Like, I don't know if they kept me on the ship after that on the table and done stuff to me, or they just sent me back straight away. So, it does get confusing sometimes. But I know that really happened. It wasn't a dream. The senses, the feeling that you had, the scream I let out. I've never screamed like that in my life. I know that remember it, I reckon, because, I'd done the wrong thing. Maybe that was the first time that had happened, and then I'd freaked out, and then it felt like he was trying to hurt me, to shut me up. But that's never happened again since then like that, or they don't let me remember it. I have been taken since then. You just remember other bits about when you came back, when they put you back and done something in your room. Yeah, so that was, I think I was on a UFO and I was on the table. It's a bit blurry in my mind, and I can't tell you everything that went on. I can't even tell you how they took me or how they sent me back. I just know when I felt that pressure on my throat, and it was for, I would have had to been 30 seconds. Like, I felt like I was choking. And then next minute I'm back in my room, and the guttural scream I had in me that I couldn't get out came out. And I did try and tell myself, well, geez, maybe that was a dream, but there's no way. You know the difference. It's only a short story. I just thought I'd put that out there. Just to me, that's still really significant. And, when I think back about it, sometimes I get the creeps up my back. It's just something I'll never forget, really. And I know it was real. A lot of people will tell me different, and that's fine. But unless it happens to you, and you go through that, or then you'll understand a bit more. And I'm sure some of you out there do. This channel is really for you who do understand and have been through these experiences. Similar ones, you might remember little bits and pieces yourself, and it's very hard to put the whole picture together. So I'll just leave you with that, and until next time, I have to do an upload a bit quicker. I've been sick, and I've really got to be in the mood to talk about these things. And I'm limited to 15 minutes here, which I'm getting to, so thanks for listening. I hope you come back to the channel. I hope you get something out of it, because I know I do, just by sharing these experiences, anonymously of course, but it's still a way of getting it out of me, and I don't know, it sort of mentally helps me, I think. So I hope you can come back, and I don't know how you found me. Tell a friend, and I'll see you next time on the Alien Agenda, and thanks for listening. Thanks a lot, guys.